Many are waking up. Are you looking for answers? You arrived to the right place. Let's begin the new journey.
Humanity has started to wake up to a different world. With this new awareness comes many questions. If you're looking for answers and need to know more, watch the many YouTubes mentioned. These YouTubes will help and guide you on your journey. Note that in different stages of your life you will resonate with different spiritual mentors. Don't worship any of them or criticize them. If you hear negative information about a mentor, example Teal Swan, we should not believe everything we hear. We should not be quick to judge regardless of what a mentor does or don't do. Their information is very valuable. Let's be grateful for their efforts. The more a person spreads the light, the more the dark beings will bring them down. There is always a tug of war going on. Always take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Both two people with a different opinion can be right. It depends on what information is channeled and by whom, and timelines. Not all guides and angelic beings have the same answer or experience.
Their own mental patterns are constantly creating their own life experiences. All of them. The good experiences and the so-called bad experiences. And also how these same mental patterns are contributing to the ease and dis-ease in their bodies. We do not want to be ill, and yet we need every disease we have. It is the body's way of telling us that we have a false idea in consciousness. We are being told we are on the wrong track and need to change the way we think. Every illness is a lesson for us to learn. Please do not just complain, "I want to get rid of this condition." It will not create the healing you want, nor will you learn the lesson you need to learn. This is not a time for condemnation or for creating more guilt. We are just looking at what needs to be released. This is a time for healing, for making our lives and our bodies whole. I know you have within you all that you need to accomplish this. Once we begin to understand this process, we are able to take conscious control of the changes we wish to make in our lives. This is a very exciting process and becomes one of the most important adventures in our lives. I believe there is a center of wisdom within each one of us, and when we are ready to make positive changes in our lives, we attract whatever we need to help us. The very fact that you have discovered me and this tape means that you are already in the process of healing yourself. Something inside of you has shifted, and the healing process has already begun. You might even say that to yourself now. I have already begun the healing process. The body, like everything else in life, is a mirror of our inner thoughts and beliefs. The body is always talking to us if we will only take the time to listen. Every cell responds to every single thought you think and every word you speak. Continuous modes of thinking and speaking produce body behaviors and postures and eases or dis-eases. The person who has a permanently scowling face did not produce that by having joyous, loving thoughts. Older people's faces show so clearly a lifetime of inner dialogue. How will you look when you are elderly? You see, it is my belief that it is our birthright to be totally healthy and totally fulfilled in every area
has
of
the
our life.
interest in manifesting just skyrocketed. There's a lot of you that are confusing wishing for something with manifesting, okay? They're the opposite ends of the spectrum. When you hope for things, when you wish for things, you are handing the power to somebody else or to outside forces. You are literally giving away your power, because hoping and wishing just inherently assumes that somebody else is somehow going to come in and solve the problem. We all know that that's not happening. The thing that's super important for you to get as a major takeaway from this video. The question is, how do you deal with the anxiety that comes from waking up and being on a roll and realizing that when you're making things happen, it's easy to look back and realize how much of your life you wasted, and that makes you present. So let's talk a little bit about procrastination. Who in here struggles with procrastination? Yeah, and the rest of you that aren't raising your hand are just procrastinating on doing it, aren't you? I know. You see, I always thought procrastination had to do with the thing I was procrastinating around, right? Like that procrastination has something to do with work. Believe it or not, procrastination has nothing to do with your work. Procrastination is a form of stress relief.
So even though this looks like this is a throat chakra issue, it's not. This is a solar plexus issue. okay? Now, why? Why is this a solar plexus issue? This is where your personal power is. This is where your sense of identity that can get a little bit embroidered in the ego. So your third chakra is where that ego starts to get developed. And there's nothing wrong with the ego. The ego is beautiful. It has its function. It starts to get developed when that third chakra comes online. Okay, early adolescence. This is where the teenagers, little early adolescents, start to develop their own personality, and then they start to dress in in their own way, and they start to rebel against their parents. That's the third chakra coming online, exerting personal power. And so this is where personal power comes from. This is where your identity, the ego identity, is also formed. But aside from the ego identity, the chi of personal power is here. This is tremendously important for sensitives and empaths. A poll again of sensitives and empaths in the room. Okay, so quite a few of you. This is the key chakra for sensitives and empaths, because when this chakra is strong, you don't ever worry about imposing boundaries. I don't like to use that word. I don't even like to use that word, because when you are a powerful empath, you don't need to impose boundaries at all. Your energy just projects outward from you so strongly that there's no boundary there. There's just nothing penetrates it. First, second, third chakra affected by childhood abuse, because that's when those chakras are being formed. So that by the time you get to the third chakra, you're around adolescence, prepubescent time. Okay? So your extremely formative years is 1, 2, 3. Okay? If I have a ladder and the bottom rungs are wobbly, everything above that, doesn't matter how high that ladder is, everything above it is going to be wobbly. So we must work on the foundation.
Atlantis Halo Grounding and Healing Technique by Philip Barrow. This knowledge was given Philip by his aspect Hermes from Atlantis. On one occasion he had an encounter with Hermes. He is known as God of Magic on Atlantis. Hermes showed Philip a method on how to remove unwanted energies and at the same time how to ground and heal yourself. In the Atlantis times, the halo technique was used when one could not make it to the temple Agostion or any other nearby healing temple. Please note, when doing this halo healing and grounding technique, you may feel energies moving in and around your body and you may feel hot and tingling. This is normal. Inside the halo a shape will appear and it is like a figure of the number 8 aligning your energies. The halo colors can change and you may see some sparks. The halo can stay in a chakra for a longer duration. This is because it has more clearing and healing to do. Play relaxing music on to get in the zone. Practice breathing exercises beforehand. Have a glass of water after you've finished. If you cannot visualize, you can do it with your knowing, and everyone should use their intent. The halo can remove trauma, blocks, trauma, attachments, dark energies, fears, cords, hooks, trickster, stagnant energies, negative programming, and replace it with love and light and high frequencies and vibrations. Call in your higher power and the God of your choice. So let's begin and call in our higher power. My intent and will here and now is to call upon the angelic halo and all energies who only have my highest and best interest. All archangels of love and light. Creator, Source, Mother, Father, God, Mother Earth, Fire, Air, Water, high frequencies and vibrations, Source dragons and crystal energies, crystal grid, universe, my higher self, Saint Germain violet flame, love light alien beings, healing seas and oceans, my spirit guides, positive fairies, positive trees and positive animal energies. I ask you all to intervene in this halo grounding ritual, releasing and removing anything that does not serve my highest good and replacing it with what is needed. Love, light, joy, peace, harmony, abundance, grace, knowing, strong, braveness, sovereignty, protection, and angelic halo energies, frequencies, and vibrations. So let us begin and get in the zone. Breath in from the nose and hold it for 10 seconds, can be less seconds. Then breath out from the mouth. Do this about 5 times or more until you get in the zone of relaxation and mediation. In your mind's eye, do remote viewing by manifesting Archangel Gabriel's white light halo above your crown chakra. This is pure white light and it is a very high vibrational frequency. Inside the halo a shape appears and it is like a figure of the number 8. This shape is swirling and aligning your energies. The crown chakra is 2 inches above the top of the head. This chakra is connected to your soul and higher self and inner power. The halo is hovering and it is going 2 inches up and 2 inches down on your crown chakra. You may start to see violet or white colors and the energy is moving in the figure of 8. You feel and know this halo is scanning for any faults in your energy fields. You know that when the halo comes across something that does not serve your highest good, your higher power team will start to remove it and release it and transmute it to positive energies. The third eye chakra is between your eyebrows. This chakra is connecting to your subconscious knowledge and connecting to your intuition and inner vision. The halo is hovering and it is going 2 inches up and 2 inches down on your third eye chakra. You feel it pulsing. You may start to see indigo royal blue colors and the energy is moving in the figure of 8. You feel and know this halo is scanning for any faults in your energy fields. You know that when the halo comes across something that does not serve your highest good, your higher power team will start to remove it and release it and transmute it to positive energies. The throat chakra is on the base of the throat. This chakra is connecting to your subconscious knowledge and connecting to your intuition and inner vision. The halo is hovering and it is going 2 inches up and 2 inches down on your throat chakra. You feel like coughing and clearing your throat. You may start to see the color blue and the energy is moving in the figure of 8. You feel and know this halo is scanning for any faults in your energy fields. You know that when the halo comes across something that does not serve your highest good, your higher power team will start to remove it and release it and transmute it to positive energies. The heart chakra is in your chest. This chakra is connecting to love, integration, compassion, forgiveness, understanding, pain, trust. The halo is hovering and it is going 2 inches up and 2 inches down on your heart chakra. You may start to see green colors and the energy is moving in the figure of 8. You feel and know this halo is scanning for any faults in your energy fields. You know that when the halo comes across something that does not serve your highest good, your higher power team will start to remove it and release it and transmute it to positive energies. The solar plexus chakra is between your navel and sternum. This chakra is connecting to your personal power and willpower, self-esteem, confidence, intellect. The halo is hovering and it is going 2 inches up and 2 inches down on your solar plexus chakra. You may start to see the color yellow and the energy is moving in the figure of 8. You feel and know this halo is scanning for any Faults in your energy fields. You know that when the halo comes across something that does not serve your highest good, your higher power team will start to remove it and release it and transmute it to positive energies. The navel and sacral chakra is near your belly button. This chakra represents sensitivity, sexuality, intimacy, and self-expression. The halo is hovering and it is going 2 inches up and 2 inches down on your sacral chakra. Don't feel nervous. Tell yourself everything is okay, and if any negative thought comes up, just say to it, I send you love and light. You may start to see the color orange and the energy is moving in the figure of 8. You feel and know this halo is scanning for any faults in your energy fields. You know that when the halo comes across something that does not serve your highest good, your higher power team will start to remove it and release it and transmute it to positive energies. The root or base heart chakra is on the base of your spine near your tailbone. This chakra is connecting your security and loss of power, worrying about money, fear. The halo is hovering and it is going 2 inches up and 2 inches down on your root chakra. You may start to see red colors and the energy is moving in the figure of 8. You feel and know this halo is scanning for any faults in your energy fields. You know that when the halo comes across something that does not serve your highest good, your higher power team will start to remove it and release it and transmute it to positive energies.
They're showing me a little bit of just an intro to manifesting through the heart of a female, and it was kind of interesting, so I'll share that with you now as the beginning of a technique. They'll elaborate on it, but it was very interesting. They said to me, first, whatever the thing is that you would like to manifest, be it a thing, an object, a condition in your life, a healing or a different job or a relationship or whatever it is that you're looking for, behind everything that we think we desire, there is a set of qualities of experience that we feel that that thing or that occurrence would bring to us. And it's the feeling that we seek most, that draws us to, we think it's from this, well, yeah, if we get this, we'll feel this. If you can find the feeling behind it, whatever it is you're trying to manifest, And then take it a little deeper. Behind the feeling, there's a vibration, an encryption, a sound. There is a sound. Sometimes you can feel it before you can hear it. Sometimes you won't be able to hear it, but you can feel it as a vibration. If there is something that you think you want, bring the idea of it. Inhale it and expand it into your heart of Athema. Let it sit there and kind of move around and just breathe through it and see if you can sense a vibration to it. It is there, but it may take a little practice to sense it in the heart of Athema. When you start to be able to feel the vibration of it there, it may feel first like a feeling, and then behind the feeling there's a deeper level where that vibration is, and that vibration has a sound. Sometimes it's a silent sound that you won't be able to hear even with inner hearing. But when you can sense out the vibration in your heart of Athema, and you start to feel it, and you think you have that vibration, then inhale it into the crystal, the rainbow crystal inside your heart of Athema. Grab that vibration with the inhale and inhale it in to your rainbow crystal and hold it there to build charge. And then we're going to exhale it, except we're going to double it and make 2. And you're going to send 1 equal to their same vibration. Send 1 down each arm and into the palm chakras. The exhale. Have each of them in a little ball of plasma sitting in your palms. Same vibration, encryption. And then put the palms together and line them up in front of your heart of Athema. Inhale into your heart of Athema and blow out a spark from the rainbow crystal right into the place where the 2 balls of plasma with your encryptions are in your palms. And watch them pop into a triptych, which means the 2 become 3. And that means they begin to phase. So you'd have the 2 encryption balls that you sent down each palm, and then when you blow that spark out, it makes the 3rd, so it forms the triptych, 1, 2, 3. And that's a phase set. So it begins to phase and spark and build quantum. Once you create the triptych in your palms, then simply inhale it back in to your heart of Athema and expand it out as a film on the outside of your heart of Athema. And let that encryption begin to magnetize the vibration that you had desired to manifest. The first key to creating plasma seeds that work is finding the vibration of the encryption behind them. So that's a little beginning of introduction to manifesting through the heart of Athema.
Visualize the epsilon symbol in the 8th dimensional color frequency of gold, stationed at the pineal gland in the center of the brain. Inhale. Then use the exhale breath to move the symbol down the central vertical current of the body to the area of the base of the spine, in the center of the tailbone, where the dormant Kundalini life force energies are stored. Breathe normally while visualizing the symbol inside the tailbone, and mentally repeat 3 times the epsilon words. Epsilon Phi Vita Phi, Epsilon Phi Vita Phi, Epsilon Phi Vita Phi. A tonal vibration mantra that translates into mathematical electrical instructions for the body's scalar template. Use the next inhale breath to draw the epsilon symbol back up the central vertical current of the body to the fourth heart chakra. Exhale and breathe normally while visualizing the symbol inside of the fourth chakra. On the next exhale, repeat the Epsilon Phi Vita Phi mantra mentally while using the exhale breath to expand the image of the epsilon symbol out of the fourth chakra into the bioenergetic field, as if the symbol now surrounds the entire body like an egg of energy. Inhale and repeat the mantra again. Epsilon Phi Vita Phi, Epsilon Phi Vita Phi, Epsilon Phi Vita Phi. Then use the next exhale to push more energy from the fourth chakra into the image of the epsilon symbol surrounding the body, making the symbol glow bright gold. Repeat the mantra once more on the next inhale. Epsilon Phi Vita Phi, Epsilon Phi Vita Phi. And once more energize the epsilon symbol around the body with the exhale. Focus your attention at the pineal gland and once more visualize the gold epsilon symbol in the pineal, while mentally repeating the mantra 3 times. Epsilon Phi Vita Phi, Epsilon Phi Vita Phi, Epsilon Phi Vita Phi. Upon completing the mantra, inhale, and on the exhale, push the symbol out of the pineal gland into the bioenergetic field around the head until it disappears. This simple technique can be used anytime to clear the bioenergetic field of inorganic and unnatural frequency implants, and can be used in attempted abductions directly to override the bioneurological block intruder visitors use to immobilize their abductees. This technique is also useful in blocking the disharmonic, disease-causing frequencies of UHF, ULF, and electromagnetic emanations, and energetic transmissions, such as those used in HARP, EMP, and scalar pulse technologies.
spiritual keys. Spiritual sovereignty means claiming your spiritual energy and not giving your power to others. We will live in fear when we do not claim our power back. Forgiveness is key to set yourself free. Forgive everyone and forgive yourself. This is the only way to move on with your life and step forward. What is done. Begin a new story. Have the humility to listen and learn and stop worrying about the outcomes. It will be what it be. See everyone as your inner mirror. If you don't like what you see in others, then change yourself so you will no longer be a vibrational match to them. Cut your cords with annoying people. Acceptance is letting go of control, and once we accept the situation, we can move on. Surrender and do not try to control the outcome. We do not always see the bigger picture. Just let it be and let things flow. Think positive for positive outcomes. Resistance will make matters worse, so accept it is what it is. Do not control the situation. Breathe work is key. Do this daily and life will get easier. Know that material possessions are a temporary distraction to fill the void. Self-love. Taking care of yourself. Make time for yourself before others. Be thankful and grateful every day for the simple things in your life. Set your boundaries and do not let others take advantage of you. Be ready to have assertive responses with no hate or resentments or aggression in your voice and body language. Do not be timid, shy, scared to speak and stand in your power. Do not judge people, as we do not know their karmic path or why they chosen this path. You do not need to understand it, just be compassionate. Focus on your own path. Find your passion, it is the key to your long-term happiness. Not to try at all is like failing.
We are here not just to transform ourselves, but to transform the energies around us and decide what they are going to become. So when we're surrounded by energies that are, freaking us out, when we're surrounded by energies that are unfamiliar, when we're in a circumstance where we're generating energies that are not really kind and self-loving through doubt and fear and self-loathing and a variety of things that happen in our culture, we're actually not utilizing our capacity to transmute that energy into a different vibrational frequency. So by design, the way our energy system is constructed, it is here to churn up energies and allow them to alchemize into an entirely different state, like a washing machine. We're basically like a washing machine.
Thank you, and I'm so glad you used the word alchemize, because I call myself an alchemist, meaning I'm helping people to transmute their energy. So what you're really talking about, if I'm getting this right, is we are here by design to give back to the field, or to put it a different way. I have a huge forest fire only 10 miles from here. There is smoke coming into the house, but I have air filters around the house that can transmute that air and clean it up. And we are each an air filter or a transmuter, helping shift the vibration to a higher level.
Absolutely. So I have an image that I could show and kind of walk you through it. If I could just show this image, is that going to work?
Well, show it to us, and then if you send it to us, we'll put it up as well on the official video. So this would be awesome.
Oh, sure, you bet. So basically, we are energy that is compressing itself into a ray of light that is descending down and hitting the earth. We're utilizing the effects of gravity, we're utilizing the compressive forces in the universe to become, from the unified field, a ray of light that drops itself to the earth. It hits the earth and rises back up again, and it then shoots up as high as it can, and then like a fountain, it falls around the outside. It gets taken up again, and we keep recycling and recycling and recycling it. And every time it comes around, we have an opportunity to do something else with it. If we don't have the circuits in place to do that, or we're not aware of how to do that, that energy can take up all kinds of distortions. It generates feelings that we're not familiar with. We don't know what to do with them. So we start circumventing and sidestepping parts of our greatness, parts of our capacity to forgive or to let go or to decide or to choose the meaning of something. And so, what I do with people is teach them how to build the circuitry here instead of going around these things, which creates a distortion in that energy field, and return to this perfected state that we truly are and operate as this ability to take, every time this energy comes around and rises up through here, we have an opportunity to love into it, to be empowered by it, to cultivate more wisdom because of it, to utilize it as a gift rather than something we are trying to get away from or sidestep. And so it's really an opportunity. And these times that are upon us are a tremendous opportunity for us to recognize all the ways that we shut down and that we retract and that we withhold our power to transmute energy. We're here like this, think of this like, I think of this like the old-fashioned lawnmower, where you would push this lawnmower and it wasn't electric or gasoline.
Oh, I used to have
that had blades that would just chop up the grass. So we are this cylinder of energy. It's like a donut that's rolling around on top of itself all the time, constantly bringing more high frequency energy in and constantly allowing it to have this washing effect on our surroundings. We're here to take in our surroundings and turn them into what we choose. But we haven't been taught how to do that, or even that that's possible. So we're very disempowered relative to who we could be.
Ayahuasca is to overcome a challenge, okay? So I actually use this a lot in my life when I work with ayahuasca. So what happens here, this is when you go to ayahuasca because you have a specific challenge or a problem in your life that you want to receive answers for. Do you want to receive help? You want to receive extra guidance for. I use one specific mantra that I'm going to leave here with you, so that if you work with ayahuasca because you have a challenge and you want to work with the plant in this way, remember this mantra. So whenever I go to ayahuasca with a specific challenge, I'll start my intention, I'll drink the tea, and then I'll start to repeat this really important mantra that I leave here for you too. Please show me the truth about this. Okay, and I'll repeat that mantra over and over and over again before the tea starts to take effect. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes for the tea to start to take effect. She's helping reset your energy system, freeing you from trauma stuck in your body, from any energy blockages. And the way that she does that is she actually induces you to expel that energy.
I thought that I was stronger than I was. I think many of us, I put on this mask that I can handle this, and I was seeing all of this negativity over and over and over, and eventually it got to me. I wasn't living. I just was being sucked down into this negative vortex of PTSD.
So it has this mood elevating effect. It's also a natural antidepressant. That's why it's one of the most effective treatments for depression. And depression is largely one of the major epidemics worldwide, right? So there's a lot of desire for people to get out of their psychic stuckness.
And I was sitting on the plane and looking over the Amazon in all of its beauty, seeing ribbons of rivers cutting through the greenery, and it was like the forest was telling me, I can hear you, have faith.
One of the first things I was taught about ayahuasca by my first maestra was stated in very simple terms. She said, little brother, ayahuasca is going to take out everything bad in you and leave all the good.
I keep getting asked, you're going down to do medicine work again? To me, this is just like working out the body. If someone goes to yoga for a week and then they go the next week, it's not like, dude, 2 weeks of yoga in a row? Like, are you crazy? This, to me, is the same thing, but for your mind. And for me, I'm in the middle of breaking down a lot of different barriers and walls and things inside myself. And, through further sessions and then the integration, I have immense confidence that I'll be able to build all that back up even stronger. But there's a point where you're overtraining. So, there is a place and a time for stopping, pumping the brakes, but you just got to tune in and make sure that you're allowing yourself enough time to integrate.
of a number of incidents of sharks approaching people in the water, there's been a lot of fear and a lot of reaction, and all sorts of measures are being considered, of course, to try and keep the sharks at bay, or even worse. There's been votes in some parts of the world for culling them. There's talks of various repellent methods. So I was asked to check in with the great white shark species in that area in particular to hear what their view of humans is, particularly humans in the water, and what's really happening in that dynamic. What's going on when there's a so-called attack? And I do say so-called attack because I can guarantee you the shark's motivation is not attack, is not harm, and is certainly not to make us their food.
She says she's really, really grateful to be here, first of all. She's really, really grateful to be here on this property with April and Michael. She's really happy and grateful for her life. She says she's been given a good job. She says we've had harmony here up until those other goats arrived. Lily and Joey in particular. Tell me more, Pokita. She says that she's not really sure that the world wants to hear, that that camera wants to hear, you know, her story. And she's showing me flashes of things. She's showing me animals being in a corral and tightly squeezed. I'd see actually in a tight container, it feels like a metal box, maybe the back of a truck or something. They think they're gonna die. She says that, you know, like coming here, it's really beautiful. Like in the darkness that she felt in that environment, and just like certain death and maybe even torture before death, just not knowing, you know, where she was going or what she was going to do, what her fate was going to befall her, and then, you know, ending up here is like amazing. It's like it's such a gift, and she wants to give back. Like the gratitude that she has is so much that she wants to give back by teaching the others that come here about love. But the goats, while they're being who they are, the fact that they're not rescues, they don't understand this love. They don't understand what this home is really about. Well, she wants to talk about help from you with Lily. Joey's getting better. She says he's growing up. She says that Lily's not changing. Pokita's telling me that there are coyotes around, there are snakes around, and she tells them where they are. She knows, she can sense where the coyotes and the snakes are. And Lily the goat, she doesn't listen to me, she doesn't obey me. She just goes and she sniffs the wind, and she's kind of in her own world, Lily the goat. She says that if we don't act smart, the coyotes might think that one of us is easy pickings. She says, I'm wise. I know my way around out there. You're a very good protector.
I had searched for my cat for 5 days, and I had searched under every little rock on our 10-acre property, and I had called her name endlessly, and I was really feeling like I'd never see her again. So in my desperation, I decided to take a leap and try an animal communicator.
She was convinced that Little Bear was dead, and she said she really just wanted confirmation.
If this feels wrong, I'm gonna ignore it, because I don't want to have false hope, because this cat means the world to me.
Please ground yourself as much as you can. You know, don't worry, I know this is hard, but if you feel grounded and present, then Little Bear will feel you.
As soon as Sharon got in contact with Little Bear, I could feel that it was really my Little Bear. The things she said, no one else could know those things about that cat.
I think she's a little ways away from your house. She's gotten herself kind of far. She said she kind of got wrapped up in chasing after a bird or something, and then by the time she looked up, she's like, oh my gosh, I don't know where I am. And then she just kept going and going, and then got really scared. I can kind of tell if your house is at the center, which quadrant she's in, and it feels northwest, no doubt. I keep getting a number 3. And that feels like a distance, like it's
3 miles.
Yeah, something like that. She may be a little ways from you guys.
Sharon told me that Little Bear had passed a Mexican food restaurant, that she could smell that.
I'm getting like some kind of little Mexican restaurant somewhere along the way that she passed. I could smell, when you drive near a Mexican restaurant, there's a certain kind of smell, flavored spices, etc.
We only have one restaurant in town, and there's no way Sharon could have known that, but the only restaurant we have in town is a Mexican food place. She said, I feel like Little Bear is about half a mile from that Mexican food place.
The other thing I'm seeing is like a tall tree. Honestly, it looks like a palm tree, like a really tall palm tree.
Sharon told me that she could see a fence, a very specific fence, bars that were arched at the top with this decorative metalwork on the top.
It's like bars with elaborate, and it looks like a curve at the top of the gate. Like a gate or fencing that had this elaborate, kind of Spanish-looking wrought iron work with an arch.
She told me that Little Bear was in a drainage ditch.
She shows me, like, if there's a driveway that goes over a ditch, when they build the driveway, they put a pipe under the driveway. She keeps showing me being down in a space like that.
Once I got there, I just saw Sharon was describing this spot. It felt too good to be true, and I didn't find her. I had to go back because she'd been chased out of the drainage ditch where she'd been hiding. And I finally heard an answer to my call, and then Little Bear came running out of the dark into my arms. And she was exactly half a mile from the Mexican food place, 3 miles from our house, just exactly where Sharon had said.
I think that we definitely have known animals in other lives or in other dimensions. We've connected with them, and they're souls, they're beings of light. And some are really high beings of light that come to us, and that's why there's this recognition. And others, I don't want to say high or low, but they're just other types of beings, that come to us. But definitely, we definitely evolve through them, and there's many times there's a knowledge of who they were and a recognition.
Yeah. And when they transition, when they die, what happens then? Because they need help too, as we can help human beings to transition, cat, dogs, animals would also, it will help them to transition. I guess they could be scared of leaving Earth.
Yes. Okay, so I do a lot of animal healings for animals, and so of course I have really, really serious cases. So many times I have to bring them to the point of departure. So I'm going to just take the question of the fear. I wouldn't say they're not afraid of death at all, but there is a level of anxiety of leaving the human being that they loved and that they had so much connection with. When they do transition, we don't have to do anything anymore. This is what my guides, and I really believe in what my guides tell me. They say once they pass, that's it. Once they're at that level of passing and they're going to transition to another dimension, they have their own guides that come and take care of them. So I only bring them to the point of departure. Like I help them, I accompany them, we do healing to that point. But after that, that's it. They have their own guides that come.
Can you actually have communication with dead animals? I mean, is that the same then for beings?
Yes. So yes, that's really, really intense. So okay, when I was a kid, I used to hear spirit things, and I hated that. I didn't like that, so I kind of blocked the whole thing. But then later on in life, after the miraculous healings and all that I got for myself and all that stuff, and the spiritual experiences, there was a point where I started seeing dead animals all over the place. And I was like, what the hell is that? I would see animals walking around, and I knew they weren't alive because the way they looked, it was very ethereal. And so then I started telling people, well, by any chance, would you have, an orange cat or things like that? Wow. And they don't know it was real. So that's when I wrote that other book, which is not in English yet. Hopefully it will be. It's called The Animals and the Afterlife. And it's based on all the experiences.
Well, that's a great book in French. I hope it will be in America.
I hope to get it in English, yeah. I have to.
Because you only have one book in English, right?
Yes.
Sacred, what's the title?
It's called Psychic Communications with Animals for Health and Healing.
Yeah. Yes. We wrote so many books in France that are such a success, and captivating books, I hope, and cards, deck cards. I love your deck cards.
Cards. I have to talk again to this American editor. We were talking, but then the whole thing happened with the COVID, and so that was the end of that.
Yeah.
The book on the afterlife is based on all my experiences with the other world.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of near-death experiences, and I was healed miraculously with beings of other dimensions, who are the ones who helped me to do the healings. I mean, if not, I'm nobody. I can't just do healings. So it's with them, and there's been a lot of experiences with animals with the afterlife, and now I do the.
Philip has done this method many times to gain valuable information, knowledge, codes, inner power, wisdom, healing tools and much more. This process can help to clear stagnant energies, chakras, clear family lineage, blocks, remove traumas and connect you with your other aspects of yourself and clear negative timelines and much more. Be aware that looking into past lives can be very emotional and some scenes can be scary for the light-hearted. We have one too many lives and we have not been human in every lifetime. Some lives we have had on other planets and realms. I would advise that you do this with someone who has some experience in this area or a trusted person, as this process can be weird when you do not know what to expect. There are plenty of Alba Weinman YouTubes on past life regressions. Maybe watch a few so you know the process. You can ask a friend do this process with you and walk you through the steps. When you see scenes that are painful, with your will pull yourself out the scene and be the observer. Before you begin, put a protection on yourself. Ask love light archangels and your spirit guides to walk and support you during the journey. The more you can feel and release and let go, the more you will heal yourself and others in many past, present, future timelines. Before you begin, think of a scene that suits your mindset. Some like walking in a meadow or a long corridor with many different style doors. Learn some meditation techniques, as you should be in a mediate state. Put some relaxing music as it helps with relaxation. Sit in a quiet room. Do some breathing exercises. Deep breaths and hold and release until you feel like you're in a spiritual zone. Don't expect to get it in one go. Try it many times. After you are done, do a grounding technique to will release any negativity and dark energies. Do this past life regression as intent to clear and heal your family lineage, blocks, get knowledge and wisdom. Heal your shadow self and heal your soul fragmentations, and to know yourself more. Let someone know you are in the process of doing this so that they can check on you later. Please have some awareness regarding past life regressions, as these can be very intense. Now before we begin, note the stairs as your own timeline are deeply connected and linked to your own subconscious. Every door is a past life. Some are positive and some are not. You will be able to tell by feeling the energy of the door when you put your hand on the door. If it feels heavy and you are not ready, then leave that door. Go to another door that you feel happy to open. Do not feel ashamed of what you have done or said in any of these timelines. We are here to experience and grow. Do not be frightened of being a certain alien, because we all chose every experience and we are energy that can go in many different bodies. Some doors you visit you may feel nothing because it was just a simple life. If you feel pain and distress, then do not open the door. Only open with a professional person who can help you with the process. But remember to send love and light healing to what is behind the door. If you get happy positive feeling, then enter and enjoy the scenes. Doing this process you may even see a child that you know is you. Always reassure the child it is loved. And if the child tells you that they are scared because of this or that, put a new happy positive scene in the child mind, even if it is not true, as you need your inner child to be happy and positive so it can help you to grow. So, let's begin. Visualize an old castle and you are at the top floor. You know each door is a representation of a life that you once had. This is your soul timeline in your subconscious. Some doors may have signs, symbols, letter, numbers, and some are lit up. There is a door in front of you which leads down the clockwise staircase which has many floors and doors. You walk towards to the door in front of you and slowly walk down the next floor below. When you reach the below floor, you look on the right hand side and see a door. You put your hand on the door and ask, what lifetime was this? You ask what the signs, letters, numbers, and you ask, what does this mean? You ask what ancient knowledge is behind here and wisdom. You ask, are there any tools I need that are behind this door? If you receive positive answers and you feel happy, you can go through this door. As you walk through the door, you may hear people say your name and greet you with love. Take your time and enjoy the scenery and speak with your ancestors. Ask, what did you gain in this lifetime and is there anything to clear? Ask many questions as you desire. When you feel you have spent enough time, ask your guides to guide you out the door and close the door behind you. Now walk down to the next floor and repeat the process. If you feel you like to reflect and awake, tell yourself, I wish to now wake up from this experience. Slowly awake and write down what you have experienced. Then do the grounding technique.
Means that a past life is still affecting you today. So you may have had a really great previous lifetime, the one just prior to this one, or it may have been a more difficult one. It can also be lives before that as well. I mean, time is just an illusion in the grand scheme of things, but from our linear point of view, they run in an order, when actually they might run sort of simultaneously, or from a spirit's perspective, they've all just sort of happened at the same time. But from our perspective, the previous one, or the ones even like previous to that, they might still be affecting us today. Now, if you identify that a past life is still affecting you today, you can use past life therapy, which I actually provide sessions on, but you can use someone else if you want to help heal those past lives, sort of relive them, identify the issue that might still be affecting you, and then heal it. You can heal your past life self with various healing techniques, you see. Okay, so here are ways that a past life might still be affecting you today. So, number one, you might feel like you miss someone, or feel like someone is missing in your life today. If you were very close to someone in a previous lifetime, have strong energetic bonds, and you haven't incarnated together, or you've yet to find them in this life if they have incarnated here, you can have this sort of sense of longing or missing someone, as if there should be someone there but they're not actually there. So that's one point to consider if you're going to have a past life therapy session. Okay, so number two is unexplained fears or phobias. You may have, say, an unexplained fear of like buttons or something. Now, if you can't identify that within your current lifetime, some sort of traumatic event or circumstance involving buttons, then it might be from a previous lifetime. Say you worked in a factory making buttons and it was extremely hard for you, and so that might have bled into this lifetime. Or for example, if you have an unexplained fear of water that you can't trace back to this lifetime, perhaps that's how you met your end in a previous lifetime. And it's the same with flying, that perhaps you met your end in an aircraft, so I do actually experience a fear of flying, and I've worked on it a lot through quite logical means, like looking at statistics and how likely it is, and that's helped a lot. But I also have a recurring dream of where I was in an aircraft flying it myself. Maybe I wasn't such a good pilot, but perhaps I was shot down. It felt like all of a sudden I was just going down.
So I have this recurring dream occasionally, and it's very vivid and real, and that can be a sign that it's, you know, was an actual experience, okay? So in that way, it's carried over into this lifetime, and I'm still always working on it, and it's a lot better now. It helps to try and alleviate your fear of the end as well, because as we know, we are infinite immortal beings, and we do keep going, and the illusion of, you know, our end passing away in this lifetime is just an illusion. We do carry on, so it helps to sort of work on that fear as well. Anyway, so unexplained fears or phobias that you can't trace back to earlier in this lifetime. All right, so number 3 is having low confidence or poor self-perception, and in this lifetime, and that might have originated from a previous lifetime, so it's always best to check out this lifetime first. So if you feel like your poor self-image, you view yourself poorly, or you have low confidence, and it may have come from earlier in this lifetime, looking at your circumstances, was your confidence not nurtured in younger years, or was it taken away, or were you in the presence of people with, you know, perhaps poor confidence themselves, which you took on board in younger years, because kids are very impressionable. But if everything seemed balanced in your younger years, you know, then perhaps it's from a previous lifetime. Perhaps you are subject to extreme hardship, and basically you were nobody, and perhaps you worked, let's, like, random hypothetical example, worked for a rich family, and you didn't matter, but they did, you know. So that might contribute to it. So past life therapy might help with that.
So tell everybody how you feel.
I feel a little bit woozy-headed. I feel like there's every kind of vein and nerve in my body is just pulsating at the moment, and it's coursing of energy that I just have no control over at the moment.
Are you doing a lot of shaking?
Yeah.
Were you cold?
The body was cold, but there was a lot of energy coming through there.
Because many people would say, oh, well, he's just freezing, put a blanket on him.
No, it was when you connect to source, you have to be dampened down a bit. You can't have it in its fullest form. It's just too powerful.
Yes.
Especially for this body, and I when I meditate, I sometimes have the jerking, so I do get that.
Yes.
But I had no control over that. It was just happening whether I wanted it to happen or not. The experience was nothing like meditation I've done before.
Now, you had never been officially hypnotized before.
No, I haven't, no.
You've done, you said, guided meditations?
Yeah, I've done that before.
So what was the difference between that and what we did today?
It's deeper, and it's more clearer as well. And I do think you're right, you're getting that ego out of the way. I'm slightly annoyed with myself, because it's like, if I just kind of just went with it and stopped trying to control everything, you know, then it would have just been fine, you know, it would have just taken me exactly where I needed to.
A new spirit guide. So why might we want a new spirit guide? We might want to approach something in a new way, or gain new skills, or have guidance in a certain aspect of our life, because different guides have different specialities, just as different humans have different expertise. And in this video, I'll give you a means to do that, to attract a new spirit guide. Now, we appreciate the guides we have, but we might be wanting, as I say, to approach something new in our lives, or to make some changes, even if it's for healing, or if we're entering motherhood, we might want to attract a guide for that. But wouldn't a guide automatically step up? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There are many aspects of our life, and it's usually those things we have a lot of focus on, a lot of will to want to do, a lot of emotions about. So we don't have a spirit guide for every little aspect of our lives, and many of our guides help us with lots of things. But we may make the decision that we really want to pursue something. So we want to send our signal out to a guide, the appropriate guide, to come along now. They may have been destined to come along and assist us in our life. It may have been a maybe, depending on our path.
I'm going to be sharing about are enhancing to your everyday life, to the 3D like life, and to your spiritual life. And I think in a lot of ways we think of them as two separate things. You know, it's like when I get to be off in a sacred site meditating, then I'm feeding my spirit, but I can't be doing that here. There's a little bit of separation consciousness in that. And these components that I'm going to be talking about today are inclusive. When they're fed within our everyday lives, it feeds our soul, and when our soul is fed, it feeds our everyday lives. And that's actually a really good place to be and a good way of thinking about these things. So we're going to be diving into these components. Now, this came to me through an experience that I had being more in the 3D, being more in the Matrix, in the city. I was dating in Phoenix, and there were a lot of beautiful benefits and experiences that came through that exploration, and there were also profound insights that was like, oh wow, this is really interesting, because I live in a bubble. As my brother tells me every day, he's like, Bridget, you live in a Sedona bubble, and not everyone is like that, and that's not how they live, and that's not how they interact, and not everything's perfect in Sedona by any means, but we live in a bubble that's very connective and very different and unique. And so me getting to see into more of the, quote, mainstream world and how people live was really eye-opening and really helpful, because oftentimes we don't have enough contrast in our life to see relativity. And so for me, I was like, whoa, this is how people live. This is very interesting. And how is it possible to be living that way and have the spirit nourished? And some of the answer was it's not possible. And so that's the nuances that I want to get into right now, so that you can truly connect, align, and continue on your path in the very best way, aligned with your highest good. So that's what we're getting into.
It's a remembrance of what you've experienced before in another now, either in the human form or off planet millions of years ago in the 5D, and what we are navigating ourselves into, right? What we call the New Earth. So all of you have experienced the New Earth, i.e. 5D consciousness in form, at some point, whether you dropped into the 5D form millions of years ago, or whether you participated off planet watching 5D Earth in 5D form exist for millions of years. So I want to talk about this story. I want to remind you of where we've been, so to speak, and where we're going. And I want to talk about Lemuria and Atlantis. So I invite you to settle in and allow yourself to be reminded of what you already know. So everything that I am going to be sharing right now may have this remembrance to it for you. There may be visions that you start to have, right? Or like, oh, I can remember seeing that. I remember experiencing that. I remember feeling that. This feels so right. Why is this important? Because the more you remember what you're doing here in the physical body, the easier it will be for you to navigate this. Because as we are experiencing right now, a physical shift in consciousness is very intense at times. It's very exciting and it's awesome and it's like, oh my God, I get to feel all these amazing things. But at the same time, it's intense. We are physically shifting. We're alchemizing our own physicality and the planet and the human collective. And when you remember what we've gone through in a previous now moment, millions of years ago, and what you've experienced in that 5D field, in that 5D dimension, you will have more acceptance and surrendering into this now, knowing that that is exactly where we are headed. That's what we're stepping into, where we have already been. And the more you can remember this in your light codes, the more you allow your light codes to absorb this information, the more you will be able to settle into everything that's unraveling, and it won't become such a fight or a struggle. It'll be like, oh yeah, this is part of what we're doing here. This is ascending from 3D back into 5D. So, let me begin with the Earth. The Earth is a physical form. Currently, we are experiencing her in a 5D, 4D, and 3D field. Inside her form is a higher consciousness that chose to experience all of this. Just like we are a higher consciousness inside our physical form. Earth is a higher consciousness experiencing herself or hisself inside the earth plane. Earth designed this now moment. He designed this experience that we're having. She chose, he chose, it chose to bring its consciousness into a 5D physical form in order to shift physically in form into a 7D field while in the form, which is very rare. Usually when consciousness wants to experience themselves in another dimensional field, what it will do is just intend to be in that next dimensional field, and it will move into that next dimensional field. I.e., if you're existing as a 7th dimensional frequency consciousness, Palladian, and you are choosing to now move into a 18th dimensional frequency to experience that consciousness, you intend it and you move into it like that. To be able to experience a shift in a dimensional field inside the same physical form is very rare, and you have to move down into a low enough dimensional field to be in form in the first place. When you move past a 7th dimension, you are no longer in form. Earth chose 5D because there isn't duality, there isn't polarity, there isn't amnesia, there isn't a cutoff, right? It knew that that dimensional field was high enough that her consciousness that dropped into form would still be able to stay aligned and connected to all that is. The purpose of being in that physical plane, earth plane, connected to the choice that she made, connected to the quantum field, in a unified field with an open heart-centered frequency. She had access to all of this in 5D, right? There wasn't bad, there wasn't negative, there wasn't dark. That consciousness didn't exist in this fifth dimensional field. So she brought herself into that 5D form with the intention of moving into a seventh dimensional form and field. The same form was going to shift her. That's what's happening with the human body. So Earth was designed by the Galactic Federation of Light. And the Earth as a consciousness dropped into that physicality to experience this. At the same time, she chose to have other consciousnesses drop into forms on her, it, in order to experience this physical shift as well.
Remember, as we have said, every single tool, every single ritual, every single technique is simply a permission slip.
You come into a life, you're on the other side, you're reviewing your life you just left. And karma is the law of balance, cause and effect. If you've done something in the other life, you don't get out of it. Not even this life either. Everything you do, what goes around comes around. But when you're on the other side, you discuss the life you've just left with those people you were involved with. And you'll say, well, we didn't do such a good job, did we? Let's go back and try it again. This time you be the husband, I'll be the wife. You be the mother, I'll be the daughter, you can switch. It's because they have not worked it out yet. They've not figured it out. As long as they haven't understood it, they're going to keep being brought into the same situation again and again. And this is what happens. And if you don't work it out, you're going to have to come back and do it again with the same people. One of the best ways to get rid of it is just to forgive the person and release it and let it go. And I've had clients that tell me, I can't forgive them and let them go. You don't know what they did to me. But as long as they're holding on to it, that's karma.
You can clear them so you are safe. For example, if you are traveling, they can also accompany you in the astral realms as protectors and guides. They can burn up frightening emotional memories so that you do not have to experience them as nightmares. They can move in front of you, clearing and lighting up your path. Now, there are different types of dragons.
Afternoon. There has been a lot of observation of discomfort, dis-ease, and a feeling of the balance being off. So today we are going to bring you the protection and the strength of the dragon breath. What we're going to do is we're going to center ourselves within our breath, and then we're going to reach out and connect to the light source, the light consciousness, and allow the dragon energy of strength and protection to flow, to join us, and to become part of our protection and our strength. So to begin this off, please feel free to reach out, connect with us. Breathing in the light, centering it down in the earth. Bringing in the light and centering it in the earth. Last time. Bringing in the light, centering in the earth. Allow your consciousness to reach up, extend, until you reach the light consciousness that makes up us all. Allow your consciousness, imagine, visualize your light reaching up to the light consciousness that connects us all, the higher source that connects us all, your higher being that exists within the stream of light that connects us all. Take a moment to connect, feel the light, imagine, visualize you are connected to the light that connects us all. And so the dragons enter. Now, everyone is becoming attached to the consciousness that you are sending out, the light consciousness that contains the dragons. Please begin to take people along on the dragon's breath, protection, and strength meditation.
I'm at Stonehenge. Our ancestors are in the rocks. They're joining us.
goes on in your mind. If you're continually returning to Sat Nam, not saying it out loud, mind, saying it in your head, although there are, of course, some chants, but we're talking today about mantras. Sat Nam, Sat Nam. Eventually, you will find after 5, 10 minutes that the repetition of the mantra kind of, what do I want to say, it dissolves into a sort of place of awareness. What I've learned from mantra meditation, perhaps even meditation more broadly, is we are awareness. Within the awareness are our thoughts. Within the awareness are our bodies and the sensations associated with our bodies. Within the awareness is the whole universe and the history of our planet and its customs. Within our awareness are our projections for the future. All this is happening within awareness. If you repeat a mantra, eventually your own narrativizing, storytelling mind recedes, rescinds, relinquishes its grip on your attention, and you are free to enjoy awareness itself. In those moments, it's not like you're like, oh, this is brilliant, because as soon as you are, this is brilliant, that's a thought or a feeling, you know? This is more the awareness that just notices an ease, an unclenching, a freedom from fear. I learned transcendental meditation, of course, with the David Lynch Foundation, a great organisation. They give you a mantra, and it's a top secret mantra, what you're not meant to tell no one else, and I never had. But they emphasise that it's a mantra without meaning, that so you're not getting bogged down in like, oh wow, this one means the great power of the Lord, or all things are one, or whatever, or peace or love, or any concept. Is a non-conceptual mantra that helps you simply deposit your attention somewhere that leads you into pure blissful awareness. But vital with all meditation is that you let go of outcomes. You can't be meditating thinking, well, I hope I get all blissed out. Someone pointed out to me just yesterday that my comfort and enjoyment is a byproduct of doing the right thing, not the objective of my life. Otherwise, it's just another individualistic trope, the pursuit of pleasure. Here's a famous Kundalini mantra that I use quite a lot, Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Loads of you that watch my Kundalini videos available on this channel will be familiar with that one, because that's how Kundalini meditations and exercises open. Om Namo Gurudev. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Just out of interest, we'll tell you what it means. I bow to the creative wisdom. I bow to the divine teacher or guru within. People use it to tune into a higher consciousness. What does that mean, a higher consciousness? Well, you could argue it's an awareness and awakeness that is not weighed down by personal imperatives and biochemical involuntary action, like fear, hunger. You know, these kind of things tend to happen themselves. If you want
to share some insights into mantra. Mantras provide much benefits for meditation. They help to keep us grounded and in the moment. A mantra is a word, a sound, or a vowel. It aids in concentration and helps to keep us focused during meditation. Many people are curious about the origin of mantras. Mantras can be traced back to the Vedic ages. Many of the first and oldest mantras are found in the Vedic scriptures about 3,000 years ago. Some notable mantras today are the Gayatri mantra, Pavamana mantra, Shanti, and Om. The most well-known mantra that we use today is simply the sound Om. Om is said to encompass all the sounds and vibrations in the universe, and it also represents the beginning, the middle, and the end of each cycle. You might have chanted this in your yoga class. Although some people think you might need to know the definition of the words in a mantra before you sing it, the power truly lies in how the vibrations of the mantra resonate within your body. An age-old tradition in many Eastern cultures, mantras have significance and benefits for our meditation practice. While traditional mantra is written and spoken in Sanskrit, India's ancient language, today mantras are spoken in all types of languages and can include many words, depending on what you think you'd like to invite into your life and into your practice.
You are the, it's all that life is anyways, just a game. It's just a play. It's just an illusion. You're going to leave here with your brains really spinning. Okay. But I've had people say that when they go through the death experience in the past life, they look back and they'll say, it's just a play. I see all the actors on stage getting ready to play their parts. I see the actors in the wings getting ready to come on stage and play their parts. It's just a play. But when I was there, I took it so seriously, but now it's like a blink of an eye. So you are the producer, director, and actor in your own play. You're also the script writer, but the script isn't written. It's written as you go along. So you see, you can change it any time you want. We get so trapped into thinking there's no way out. Not, that this is all there is. When you realize how powerful your mind is, you can create anything you want. This is the goal. The main thing of being alive is learning how to create. And now when the veil is thinning, we're moving into this new earth, we're into the shifting, we're bringing all these abilities back. This is what you're supposed to learn how to do. Okay, but this is your movie. Now they said, it wouldn't be a very good movie, would it, if you were the only person in the movie? Isn't that true? They said people like people around them. So what we do, we don't know this, none of this is done consciously. You have the backdrop people. When you cast a movie, what do? You cast all these extras, don't you? To fill in the background. The backdrop, he calls them the backfill. You cast all the extras to play all the parts of all the people. Those are the backdrop people. And when I go into a crowded airport now, I'm thinking, oh boy, look at all the backdrop people I've just created. I shouldn't have put so many into this. But this is what makes it even stranger. The backdrop people are not real. Because you couldn't go through your own movie by yourself. You have to have other people. Now the people in your life, those are real. Those are the ones that are on the evolutionary path. We have come in to evolve, to grow, to learn lessons, to reincarnate. We're the ones that are evolutionizing. They're real, and you've made these contracts with all these other people, but these other ones are not. And I said, do they have souls? They said, no. They're just energy. They said it's holographic. It's like being on the holodeck on Star Trek.
frustration, exasperation, fear, confusion. These are not healthy states. I mean, ending a relationship is always difficult, but if it was a relationship with two healthy people in it, they may simply be able to acknowledge we grew apart and this hurts, and thank you for being a part of my life. And not saying nobody gets hurt, it can hurt and it can hurt badly. But in a narcissistic relationship, by the time you get to the breakup point, there have been lies, deceit, anger, rage, all kinds of negative situations. It's confusing. Now, a couple of other things happen too. Many times when people leave narcissistic relationships, they've tried everything. They've tried to change the person, which obviously was never going to work. But they keep trying. I'm going to convince them. I'm going to show them the error of their ways. But one of the big fears that keeps people in narcissistic relationships and makes it hard to leave is this idea that the minute they leave the relationship, the narcissist is going to change and be a better person for the next person they date. I hear that all the time. He's going to change, and now he's going to be really great to this next person. I said, why would that happen? They're going to go through exactly what you went through. If anything, you should send them a condolence card now.
Right.
But
well, and even
convinced.
if they did change for somebody else, they're not changing for you, so who cares?
And they're not going to change.
And I know
more
that,
absolute,
right,
but they're not changing for you.
Right.
And many times, narcissists trade into a new relationship very quickly because relationships are so superficial for them. For the rest of us, leaving a relationship that meant something to us or even that was just confusing, our roots went deep. So it takes a while before you can reconstitute and enter a new relationship. Narcissists, boom. They've often replaced you by next Saturday night. They'll post it on social media. It's really, really destabilizing for people. So that means, though, that there's a word for it. When people are in narcissistic relationships that end, now all of a sudden the narcissist gets interested again, and now they want to go back to love bombing. So they do something called hoovering. Hoovering. And hoovering is when you suck someone back into a relationship. Baby, I miss you. I didn't realize how good I had it with you. Every time. You know, I really messed up. If I'd known what a gift and an angel you were, I'd be the luckiest.
You're saying this, it sounds so good.
I
would love to be told that.
It's everything you ever wanted to hear. So you either have got nerves of steel, or most people fall back down the rabbit hole. And they say, okay, let's talk. And then for a while, the narcissist might even act different. There'll be it's love bombing part 2.
Love bomb 2.0.
And so they go through that again, and boom, back to the discard, the cycle starts again. Now, if you do leave them, expect hoovering might happen. It doesn't always, but it might. Expect that you'll probably be traded out really quickly and replaced very quickly, which can hurt. If you leave them, you can also expect, if you're married to them, it's going to get really messy really fast. Messy custody, messy divorce, messy cutting up the assets. They may often do something called enlisting flying monkeys. Flying monkeys are the people who were close to both of you in the relationship, your family, your friends, and they'll start to try to turn all of them against you. Hey, just so you know, you think your sister's such a great gal, she did this, this, and this, and they'll tell them all these lies, and then now these people will start turning against the poor person who left the narcissist, and this flying monkeys phenomenon actually can often re-traumatize a person after they do the hard work of leaving a relationship.
Reflection of the truth. They help us see areas which we are not able to see clearly on our own. They are an amazing feedback tool. You may be able to feel mirrors are unique and fascinating things. They reflect exactly what's in front of them. No judgment. A simple reflection of the truth. They help us see areas which we are not able to see clearly on our own. They are an amazing feedback tool. You may be able to feel if there's something in your teeth, but the mirror can really show you what it is. The law of mirror states, you cannot see something in another human unless it's in you first. If it's not in you, you won't recognize it. Every person and relationship is reflecting, at some level, parts of our consciousness to us. Life is reflecting who we are and what we have become. For example, if you see someone as the jealous type, then at some level there has to be jealousy in you for you to recognize it. Or you might take an instant liking to someone who is well groomed because you personally value taking care of yourself and dressing well. The law of mirrors shows how we judge things and people. Like the mirror, reality is constantly reflecting our inner consciousness, judgment, and giving us feedback. If there is a pimple on your face, you can't be mad with the mirror. It's just reflecting the truth. We can only change something if we are aware of it. The idea behind this principle is that if it's not in us, we won't see it. Our reality is reflecting to us that which is within us. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. If we find insecurities in people, then at some level there is insecurity in us. If we find someone inspiring, then there are traits in us that we see in them. How we judge is always reflected back to us. For example, when we admire someone on how organized they are, there's something in us that likes that organized, orderly manner. If we see someone as an angry person, there must be some anger within us that gets triggered when witnessing theirs. One cannot simply say, they made me angry, unless there was already some anger within us. This profound principle is hard to understand and accept for a lot of people, especially when it comes to negative traits or situations. The first reaction is to deny it because we think it's always the other that has caused us pain or unhappiness. How can there be anything in common between us and that person that triggers us? The law of mirror not only shows how we judge, it's also the law of personal responsibility. It shifts our focus from what's happening to us to what's happening in us. Instead of blaming the world, we can take inventory of what's happening in us. Our reality, our relationships, and life in general act as a mirror, reflecting to us over and over the subtleties of our consciousness to give us understanding of our own lives. The mirror reveals to us what's in us. Similar issues can repeat and resurface in our lives with different people and at different times. The same feelings or the same insecurities can crop up, just different actors. The law of mirrors through people and situation reflects what's inside of us. The faces change, but the patterns are the same. People change jobs and still complain about the same issues with their new bosses. Try and notice the repeating lessons the universe is trying to teach you. The law of mirrors shows us that everything starts with us and ends with us. When we frown in front of the mirror simply reflects. When we smile, the reflection smiles back. We are the common denominator in all our experiences.
Aspects of themselves that are apathetic. Now, because the soul is motivated in the direction of completion, in the direction of wholeness, it wants to find a partner that makes it feel more whole. So the external world becomes the substitute for what we're missing in our internal world. For this very reason, in our partnerships and friendships, we tend to attract both extremes. We attract people into our lives who mirror both extremities within us, so that we can have the opportunity to be aware of our own dichotomy. The law of attraction responds to both extremes, the overcompensation and the aspect of ourselves that we have suppressed to the extreme. We are a match to them, even though they seem to be the opposite of us, because that denied self is still a part of us and is still, therefore, subject to the law of attraction. But our partners, romantic partners specifically, or those that are the very closest to us, tend to be our opposing mirror. They reflect the attribute we suppressed, and we reflect the aspect that they suppressed. The person who is apathetic, therefore, will most likely end up in a relationship with a success freak, and both of them will be caused pain by the other because each is a reminder of the rejected aspect of themselves. They reflect to each other the lost self. And guess what? We recognize and see in other people the things that we have rejected and denied within ourselves. This is really the essence of projection. When we notice an attribute in someone else that we have made not okay within ourselves long ago, we have the same reaction to that we did to that aspect within us the first time. Reject it, avoid it, suppress it, get rid of it. On the flip side, when we see positive aspects in other people that we have suppressed within ourselves, we fall in love. It feels like our opportunity to become more whole. We want more of it. We become addicted to it. We glorify it and put it on a pedestal and even idolize it. This is in fact what's happening when you see crowds of screaming girls at Justin Bieber concerts. They are all projecting the positive aspects that they have disowned in themselves onto him, mostly a sense of significance and sexuality, which they of course disowned in order to be good, obedient, humble little girls who obeyed their parents. The main characteristic of the suppressed or denied self is its complete invisibility to you and its complete visibility to other people. This is why it must surprise the hell out of you that some people see traits in you that you don't see at all. But guess what? This is how it's supposed to work if you've been suppressing an aspect of yourself. You're not supposed to have any awareness of it. That was the point in the first place. Dissociating from it was your survival technique. So if somebody makes you feel like projection is another personality flaw, you can think again. Because for all of us that have been socialized, this is going to be the outcome. Any extreme aversion to a trait in another person is a reflection of the level of rejection that you develop towards that trait or the potential of that trait within yourself. The more we love something in someone else, the more we disowned it in ourselves long ago. Now there's a misunderstanding when it comes to projection. There's an idea that when projection is happening, when someone is projecting something onto somebody else, they're projecting a trait that that other person does not have. But projection is always a two-way street. That means one of two things. Either both people have that very same trait, and the one is just recognizing it in the other, or the very act of being a match to being projected upon is indicative of something that is being reflected in the other person. In other words, to have someone project upon us, we have to be a vibrational match to that experience, meaning that the experience of being projected upon is also reflecting something that is denied within ourselves. On that note, it must be said that projection has become like the single biggest cop-out and deflection technique that has ever been invented, especially in the New Age community. It drives me nuts when I hear people saying, "You're just projecting." It's a super good way to get out of having to look at yourself clearly or objectively. You're never going to get to a space of self-awareness if that's what you continue to do.
Usually the egoic self is interpreted by people as people who have a high sense of, exaggerated sense of who they are, who think they're better than others, and that is one aspect of ego, but there's another aspect of ego which is equally strong, and that is people who have a self-image, a self-identity of being more of a victim than somebody else or others. Oh, that works too. It's a very common thing these days, and very satisfying to the false sense of self, because if you can see yourself as a victim, either on a personal level or collective level, that gives you a somewhat satisfying sense of identity, satisfying in a completely non-satisfying way. It's a paradox. You feel good about feeling bad. And the more you can complain about others, and the better you feel, but it's bad. But the ego thinks it's better. If you drop that expectation, then it's actually fine. But be careful that if you still have an unspoken assumption that there's something wrong when challenges happen, that could draw you back into unhappiness. There's nothing wrong when challenges happen. We grow through them.
Sometimes people come and they say, even we've been following the guidance and listening to your talks, but it seems to make matters worse sometimes because my mind is going crazy. And it will do. And in fact, it is a sign that you're making progress and that you're sinking more deeply, because somehow, whether we like it or not, when you are under a mind attack, you come to see that it is not the friend you think it is. And it doesn't play a fair game. And this is important, I feel, in the step towards true knowledge and true awakening. Because if you trust your mind, then it will tell you many lies and you'll believe them, because it's homegrown. It grew up with us, and so to largely, you can say like that. So when people experience this kind of big resistance, some give in and say, whoa, please, you've been hit on the head or something, and whoa, I don't want another one, please, okay, I'll cooperate. But for others, they say, no, we've been told about this, that it would react like that, and it's almost as though you have an enemy within who is doing everything to sabotage your progress in this direction. And it is not a progress towards making more money and becoming more successful. It's not that type of progress. It's a progression.
some basic tools to begin to change your life. When you invest in yourself, you invest in your future. Number one, take some time out of your busy lives to disconnect from your world. Shut your cell phone off, turn the TV off, power down your computer, sit your body down for a few minutes and close your eyes. Number one. Number two, take some breaths and center yourself. When you center your attention into the present moment, you have more energy to create with. When your mind wanders to the predictable future or the familiar past, that's normal. Just become aware of it and keep working on settling yourself back down into the present moment. When you're in the present moment, you're the most creative.
And I've written 67 essays on when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And this isn't just a clever play on words here. This is a quantum truth. As my friend Deepak Chopra has often said to me, quantum physics is not only stranger than you think it is, it's stranger than you can think. So that if you look at your origination, the place that you came from, this thing that Lao Tzu called the Tao, this great source that is everywhere, there is no place that it is not. And yet it is doing nothing. And yet it leaves nothing undone. If you go out and just go for a walk this afternoon when you get home, just look at the perfection of all that is. Just look at the clouds and look at the sky and look at the ocean and look at the trees and look at the leaves, and even more important, look at the space between the leaves. And look at the invisibleness and the perfection of how everything is. There's a constancy, if you will. And this constancy is always there. And your goal, my goal, in the time that I have with you here today, is to convince you to go to a place within yourself where you can emulate that divine perfection which requires you to do nothing, which never uses force, which never pushes itself.
absolutely revolutionary and so evolved that her ideas are really a paradigm shift that can change the world.
Be curious, well, what is it? If it isn't what we think it is, success, money, marriage, stability, maturity, then what is it? And I began to see that it's this thing that I call consciousness.
Imagine if there were conscious parents who created awakened families. Dr. Shefali Sabari.
So here, Dr. Shefali, my kid just knows how to push my buttons. As a clinical psychologist, I can assure you and them, no, your kid doesn't know how to push your buttons. They don't know where your buttons are. They can't keep track of your 100 growing buttons a day, and they're not interested in pushing your buttons. They didn't come on earth here with one mission. Let me push my parents' buttons. No, they would rather you have no buttons. When we think like that, we create a separation between ourselves and our kids. This is unhealthy. It can become toxic. It gives us this superiority and this right to inflict our aggression onto them, and this is never a good thing. Most parents have great fantasies about who their children will grow up to be. Artists, musicians, scientists, linguists, they fantasize having endless moments of playing the perfect family with sunlight dappling through the windows. But then, once they give birth, everything kind of changes. Dreams disappear, bubbles burst. They realize that parenting isn't just about roses and cherubs and unicorns floating in the park. Not only will this journey drain your bank account and make you wish for an endless supply of alcohol, but it will also test and challenge your sanity, your patience, and ultimately, your unconditional love. This journey will make you ask the ultimate question of all. Am I able to love another even when they do not fulfill my fantasies or my expectations?
So in general, I believe that most mental health disorders, in fact I would say almost every mental health disorder, originates in childhood experience and originates as a coping mechanism. Now if you look at anxiety, if I were to pull a gun on you, you would not be anxious, you'd be afraid, as you should be. So when are we afraid? When we're threatened with something. Either something bad happened to us, or something that we perceive as something that we need is threatened to be taken away from us. Now, in the early child's life, in the young child's early life, anxiety is an attachment alarm. What is the child's biggest need? Attachment with the parent, connection with the parent. When the parent's not around, the child should feel some fear. That serves a positive purpose, because when a child feels fear, he cries, she vocalizes, and that brings the parent. I mean, look at a mother cat responding to the kitten's cries, immediate. And the same with instinct, with human beings who are still connected to the parenting instinct, they will respond to the child's cry for help. So that fear is adaptive. So it's a coping mechanism. But now what happens to a person whose parents are taught by medical experts, like I used to, until I learned otherwise, or others, not to pick up the kids when they're crying? Now that natural fear that causes the crying, that brings the parent, which ends the anxiety, is embedded in the child. So what begins as a coping mechanism now becomes generalized. So under certain circumstances, there should be fear and anxiety. But when I have this anxiety, when there's no immediate threat, what is that about? It's not a response to anything external, it's the embedded anxiety that I developed as a child. Now, in a society that makes people more isolated all the time, where human social contact is replaced by the rather cold and impersonal world of the internet. And when people are under genuine threat, where young people have less opportunity for meaningful employment and belonging and a sense of purpose than their parents used to, there's more general threat. Now when that general threat hits people who are in childhood over-immersed in anxiety that's not relieved by the parent coming to help them, now you've got an anxiety situation. So when it comes to your friends with anxiety, I would get them to really look at their childhoods and to recognize that anxiety is really the cry of some desperate childhood part of themselves for help, and to learn to get help with that.
When it comes to my relationship with my children, is that first lesson of happiness is the greatest gift I can give them.
Yeah.
Those first 7 years are very important. Are there other things?
Actually, the first 7 years are crucial. I would say the first 3 years are the nub of it. I always say to people, you get the first 3 years right, you can relax. If you don't get the first 3 years right, you'll be practicing remedial parenting for decades.
And what does screwing it up look like? And how would you know?
Well, first of all, you would know because there I am with my son, and I'm not finding rest in it. So I don't know how to be there with him. I don't know how to be there for him. And I was like that. I was always waiting for my kids to grow older when I could intellectually engage them, and now we'll have something in common. But the sheer act of being, or the sheer state of being, I could never achieve with them. And it's interesting because I look at my brothers. They're so wonderful with little kids. They're so spontaneously there for them. I never knew how to do that. Because the real relationship doesn't depend on words. It depends on the capacity to be with.
And I can sense just that energy from you. I'm just here with you.
Yeah.
And I'm here.
And I welcome your presence.
Right.
And I welcome you to exist in my presence. And I'm overjoyed to have you in my presence.
Right.
That's what the child needs from the parent.
And that's communicated with body language and everything.
And through the energy that you exude.
And they can feel it.
They can absolutely feel it.
Wow.
They can't name it, but they can feel it.
Okay, and that already starts changing their personality right there.
That shapes their personality.
They always say that mothers form a different bond than fathers. Is that just another way, an anachronism?
Mothers form a different bond, but only because mothers are present with their kids. Whereas the fathers tend to visit the kids. I mean, the father goes to work typically and then visits at home for a couple of hours and then takes off again next morning. Those fathers who stay home with their kids, they learn how to mother their kids. So it's not a gender issue, it's a relational issue. And the mothers allow themselves to be trained by the kids, whereas the fathers tend to impose their own expectations on the kid. This is not universal, I'm talking by and large. So those fathers who have the good fortune, like in the civilized countries where parents are given paternity leave, those fathers learn to relate to their kids in a different way than the average father somewhere else.
Okay.
We can be trained, but we have to be present for the training. In our culture, the children never need to attach. They need to connect with somebody, because without that connection, they don't survive. And in the hunter-gatherer bands where human beings evolved, those attachments were with adults. And not just one adult or two adults, but with a whole set of nurturing adults. Now in our culture, we've deprived the kids of the parental presence for the most part. And the child's brain can't handle an attachment void where there's no attachment figure. And in the absence of the parent or the nurturing adult, the child will fill that void with the peer group. Now kids become far more peer attached than is healthy for them. And now peers become their models and their mentors and their templates for how to be, how to walk, and how to talk. And as that happens, the kids push away from the parents because they're more minded to belong to the peer group, which has different values from the parents. And the kid's brain can't handle that competition. So the brain of the child will actually choose the peer group over the parent group. And where that goes, you can see on Facebook, and you can see it in the teenage gangs, and you can see it in increasing frustration of parents who've lost a part of parent, because parents think that their part of parent comes from the fact that they have the responsibility and the strength and the wisdom. It doesn't come from that. The part of parent comes from the desire of the child to belong to you. When the child is driven to belong to the peer group, because we've taken him out of his natural context, we lose the part of parent. What do we do then? We ratchet up the pressure. We become more authoritarian. We lose the authority, so we become authoritarian. And the more authoritarian we become, the more pressure we put on them, the more they resist. And now we label them with oppositional defiant disorder, and we call them obstreperous and bad and naughty kids. All they're doing is acting out their attachment dynamics. So if we want to discipline kids, we actually have to make them our disciples. And the disciple is not somebody who's afraid of you. The disciple is somebody who loves you and wants to belong to you and follow you. So discipline is the very opposite of punishment. First of all, you realize that the most important template, in fact the essential template for the emotional development of the child, as well as for the brain's healthy physiological development, is a nurturing relationship with mutual responsive adults. That is the template for physiological brain development and healthy psychological development. That means that anything that you do that undermines the relationship with the child will actually undermine the child's development, because it makes the child insecure, and kids in state of insecurity are in defensive flight or fight mode, in which mode they don't learn anything. They just are defending. And so that every time I use the relationship against the child, so I have a 2-year-old who's angry, and most psychologists and parenting experts will tell you, time out. In other words, what they're telling you is, withdraw the relationship from the child as a way of threatening the child. And that threat will make the child comply with you. Well, the child may temporarily comply with you, but what have you taught her? You've taught her that the relationship is conditional.
Short version of ritual I call upon here and now. Time and space, my will and intent is to ask for all the love, light, healing energies of dimensions, realms, oceans, crystal grids, Christ consciousness, Mother Earth, violent flames, Prime Creator, Source, Mother, Father, God, Source, dragons, crystals, Source, my higher self, Spirit guides, energies to please heal everything that does not serve my highest and best interests from past, present, future and all timelines. I ask you to remove and release all negativity, dark energies, mind control, negative and tricked contracts, sickness and mind, body, spirit, mentally, emotionally, physically and pain from my shadow self and inner child, negative hooks, cords and control devices. When all this pain and negativity and dark energies and control has been removed and released, please replace it with love and light, positive energies, highest frequencies and vibrations. Then please place me in a powerful, very strong, everlasting, with many layers and pillars of a bubble of protection, always allowing only good to come in and always blocking and transmuting everything that is negative and dark and all trickster energies that is not good for my higher good. When this is done, I am going to release the roots from my spine and feet. I believe this is now done. Thank you, amen. So it is. So be it. So it is done. Rick and Deb had no idea that they were soulmates and shared the same higher self. They met on a blind date August of 1979. At that time they were not awake. Fast forward to 2016, Rick started to see orbs. The energies were like in square boxes that looked like moving and floating water inside. It didn't stop there. Rick started to see fairies. They would fly and land on his hand. His angels would appear in human form. During this time Rick was seeing many archangels and ascended masters. On day when Rick was brushing his teeth, Jesus appeared next to him. He was so astonished. One day in August of 2017, a very bright white light appeared from Rick and Deb's bedroom. Rick said he had never experienced anything like it before. Rick did not want this sensation to end. He cannot put this into words. During this experience, Rick and Source, God, merged or connected energetically. Both Rick and Deb were guided to people who helped them immensely in their spiritually growth, which led them opening up to their spiritual gifts at unbelievable rate. Rick was on many different medications for type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure and a heart condition, but once Rick merged with Source, God, he was completely healed. From that moment onwards, Rick has a special spirit guide assigned by his higher self for this journey. In a healing session with Rick and Deb, Rick will scan a person or animal, physically or by photo, for any sickness, attachments, thought forms, lost soul attachments, lost fragmentations, implants, trickster energies, cords, or any hidden agendas. This can be from past, present, future timelines. While Rick is scanning, all his information is then downloaded and channeled to his wife Deb. Also during the session, messages will come through from loved ones who have passed over, archangels, Source, God, and spirit guides and other beings. The more people are waking up, the more people are asking for healing. Rick and Deb Purcell do many hours of free healing sessions for humanity, Earth and animals. Please be mindful of their time and book a private session, so you can have all your needs met. Philip was awoken as an emerald child. He is an old and ancient soul on Atlantis. He was Hermes. He had many other incarnations on Earth, dimensions and realms. Philip is accredited spiritual healer, grid worker, crystal healer, light worker, shamanic healer, removal of negative energies and demonic attachments, placing protections on buildings, people and pets. During a healing, Philip calls in all his highest aspects: Source, dragon energies, crystal energies, healing goddess, ocean, sea, Saint Germain, violent flame, Source, angelic, earth, sun, tree energies. Philip volunteered to come to Earth at this time to help humanity with the ascension, to raise the frequencies of the Earth. He regularly does grid work, healing to raise the vibrations of water, air, Earth and humanity in solstice and other events. Philip is a volunteer at a spiritual school, healing center, judo coach. He also does free healing sessions 3 times per month on Zoom with Rick and Deb Purcell. Please note, many people take advantage of Philip's good nature and ask for many hours and days of free healing and support. Please note, he does have a 3D job and family and grandchildren. Please be mindful and book a session.